Joining me now is Bill Frelick. He's the director of Human Rights Watch's Refugee program. Let's take a look at some of the solutions that are being proposed. Thank you so much for joining us, Bill. Let's first start off with this 10-point plan proposed by the EU. And I want to talk about some of the other points that they want to add into this other than the patrols. Joint processing of asylum applications within 2 months of being lodged, return travel packages for the refugees, and immigration liaison officers in key countries. Those are just some of the ideas. What do you make of it?
Well, perhaps this will be something that will respect people's rights, but essentially what's happening is you're moving people who want to lodge claims in the European Union where they have legal rights, and to keep them outside the European Union, where it's a completely discretionary political choice how many refugees you want to bring in, which ones you want to choose, how long it's going to take. And if the numbers are what we think they will certainly be, trying to do all this processing in a short period of time is quite unlikely. So the prospect of having warehousing of very large numbers of people, maintaining them, trying to see what are the security concerns in wherever they may be held in North Africa, these are really serious questions that really haven't been addressed yet.
And we talked about some of these numbers. More than 13,000 migrants rescued this year alone, 1,600 dead so far in 2015. A similar scene last year, and migrants continue to make this crossing. They've seen this already, but they don't care. Talk about some of the situations that they are escaping and why they are willing to risk their lives for this.
Well, the human rights situation in Syria, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Somalia, these are situations where people are desperate. They are being forced out of their homes. You have barrel bombs that are exploding. You have just horrible beheadings and other unimaginable human rights abuses that are occurring that are forcing people out of their homes in the first place. Then you have the countries of first asylum that are completely overwhelmed and unable to cope with the influx. 3.8 million Syrian refugees alone in the neighboring countries. Lebanon, for example, with more than 1 million coming in to an already fragile, destabilized state. And so they move on. They go through the Sahara Desert, and we don't know how many people perish as they try to cross the desert. They put themselves into the hands of traffickers and smugglers because there aren't legal mechanisms that are working that are helping to bring them to safer places where they really would have effective protection. And so we find a situation where the High Commissioner for Refugees has pleaded to resettlement countries for only 130,000 places for Syrian refugees out of that 3.8 million, and they still haven't received pledges even for that number of refugees. So to talk about external processing when the existing procedures that are already in place haven't been working and haven't been met, if it's completely voluntary and it becomes a choice of who you want to bring into the European Union, so far, we haven't seen the political will on the part of EU member states to come up and say, yes, we will assist those countries in the region so that people can remain there and feel safe and secure and have a decent way of life.
But is the pressure coming now with what we've seen in the last day or so? Are these European countries finally getting the pressure to do something and helping these people through diplomacy or political means and attacking the problem at the source where these folks are coming from?
Right. Well, there does seem to be a critical mass at a certain point of dead bodies. I hate to put it that way, but this was a predictable tragedy. I mean, we knew last year these numbers of people coming out. The Italians had an operation called Mare Nostrum, which was a rescue operation that rescued 200,000 people last year. And when they stopped Mare Nostrum and they put in a law enforcement, not a rescue operation, that was 1/3 the size of Mare Nostrum, and the people still kept coming, and now they're dying, we knew in advance that this is what was going to happen. This was the outcome. So yes, now we're seeing in this 10-point plan some movement to try to say, yes, we need more resources to rescue people, but it's really too late at this point, certainly for those who have already died.
All right, Bill Frelick, Human Rights Watch, thank you so much for your